Welcome everybody to another live development session of Akira, the Linux design tool. This was the best introduction ever. Can you guys hear me? Is the audio video quality, it's good? We're going great. Yeah, we're doing great. Testing, testing, testing. Alrighty.
Working.
Alrighty. I am gonna switch camera. There you go. Hello everyone and welcome to this live development session of Akira. This is the third one that we're doing. Last one we did it like a couple of weeks ago where we were showing a lot of super cool stuff. Today we have a special awesome guest that I'm going to introduce in a bit. Is another developer that works with us. His name is Giacomo. I gave him a bunch of shout out on Twitter because he's been doing amazing things on the Artboard side, on the layers panel. Has been like immensely helpful on everything related to Akira. So let's jump right into it. On this live session, we're gonna basically focus on showcasing the file saving and file loading approach, the architecture, how we save the file, and I'm gonna show you the the file structure that you can access. Is going to be like very simple, very cool to see. And then I'm going to give the microphone to Giacomo. He's going to showcase the latest and greatest improvements on the Artboard side, on the layers panel side, and he's going to introduce himself so you can give him a big virtual high five. And as usual, during this presentation, I'm going to mostly ignore all the questions that you write in the chat because I don't want to interrupt every 2 seconds to answer a question. But don't worry, I'm going to go back on the chat after the overview of what we're doing. I'm going to read all your questions. So if you have questions, just write them in the chat. I'm going to read them later and we're going to answer them later. So I'm going to start by switching off my beautiful face. And there you go. And we can see we have a little bit of Akira, so let's access the build section here. Let's compile. I think I already compiled. Yes, okay. So first of all, one beautiful thing, actually I'm gonna remove completely my face. So I'm gonna create a bunch of things. So first of all, the latest implementation, now we can create multiple artboards here, and all the artboards get properly separated in the layers panel. And whenever you create an item on top of an artboard, automatically gets inserted into that specific artboard. If you create the item outside the artboard, it's completely outside. So you can see it gets generated on top above everything. And this is a really important distinction because we need to separate between items that belong to an artboard or free items that don't belong to any artboard. So are just like free floating in the main canvas, and we can create as many items as we want. You probably noticed that the zebra coloring of the layer is kind of like messed up. This is normal. We're working on that because of course now as a first implementation, the zebra coloring was taking in account all the layers and all the panels on just one level of all the layers, so it doesn't really distinguish between artboards and layers and items inside artboards and all these distinctions. But later we're gonna basically treat every group of things with their own zebra coloring, so it's gonna be more accurate and easier to remember. But yeah, I'm generating a bunch of files, and you probably noticed, I don't know if you noticed, that here on top of the header bar it's written untitled, and now we have a little star, because whenever we create an object, we change something, Akira recognizes that the file has been modified. It's not like a fresh untouched file. So if I try to close Akira, I'm gonna have this little prompt. Are you sure you want to quit? I'm gonna probably add a third option that say save and quit. But for now, you can or cancel this operation or quit without saving. So if we say cancel and if we go save file, we're going to get prompt with the usual file chooser. I'm going to call this test. and automatically gets selected Akira file, save. Now the file is saved. The header bar gets updated, the title, with the name of your file, so you know which file you're working on right now because the title represents the file open. If we open the file inspector, you see we have our test.akira that weighs 1.3 kilobytes. It's beautiful. Right now, the Akira extension already recognizes automatically. If you have Akira installed, you double click and it opens automatically, or you can select it from the drop-down menu of all the available applications. Of course, we need to design an icon for this file. There was a suggestion to use the same Akira icon, but it's kind of like, I don't really want to do it because I want to create a unique icon for the file to distinguish between the application and the files that application can open. But since I have this file open, if I show the hidden files, look what we have here. We have a lock.akira.test.akira hidden folder. This is an open folder. Basically, the file here, the .akira file, is a zip file, is a compressed archived file that we open it dynamically whenever you open a file, and we create the hidden folder where you can write and read all the information dynamically and then save it into the zip archive. So if we access this folder, inside we're gonna have, and I don't know if you can see it, let me zoom in, we have 3 folders. We have the pictures folder, thumbnails, and the content.json. For now, pictures and thumbnails are completely empty because we didn't implement that, but basically in the pictures we're gonna save the base 64 version of all the images that you use, so we can save them locally. You're not gonna lose them if you upload if you import an image from your file for your folders. Something that I really hate on some programs, if you import an image and then you delete the image source from your folders, your image in your application is gone completely. That's very stupid. Like, the image should be saved locally in your file, so you're not going to lose anything. And the thumbnails folder is going to be used whenever you save the file. We're going to take a screenshot of your file, the current situation of all your artboards and layers, and going to save the thumbnail, a very small compressed thumbnail here. So we're going to implement later, whenever you browse through your files, you can have a quick preview of the Akira file and see what's inside actually. So you can see actually the situation of your file. And then this is the most important section of our file saving, the content.json. If we open the content.json, this is the file saving structure of our beautiful Akira file. So we save a bunch of standard information. We save the current version of the software, so we know which version you're using. If you have problems with some files, we can identify which version you use to generate the file. It's going to be easier for us to troubleshoot problem. We save the current artboard, the current main canvas situation. We save the scale, the scroll adjustment, so we can re-enable everything. And then we have 2 main JSON lists. The first one is the artboards object. Each artboard saves everything. We save the AD, we save the border size, we save the X and Y position, the width and Y, the matrix, Chiral matrix transformation option. We save all these in just a JSON format. And then we have 3 artboards, of course, and we generate that. And after that, we have, of course, the items object, which is an array with all the items inside, and also all the items, they have the stroke color. This is a uint conversion of the GTK RGBA, so we can convert it back. We have if a hidden field or it's a stroke alpha. If belongs to an artboard, we have the ID of the artboard that it's non-mutable, so the ID is always the same. It doesn't interfere with changing the name of the artboard. The ID is always non-mutable. And then we have the relative X and Y position related to the artboard, so where it's inside the artboard. And then we have all the items. So this is basically the file saving option. We're not saving in SVG. We're going to have the option to export in SVG, but we're not saving a file in SVG because we need to save a lot of non-standard options, like non-standard attributes that don't exist in SVG, so we needed to use a JSON. And with the JSON, it's going to be super easy to implement the Git history. So at every save, we're going to have a Git commit, and matching different JSONs. You can see the Git difference and the history of your file, how everything changes, and it's super awesome. So now that we have this file saved, let's change a bunch of things. So for example, this is locked. Then this one is hidden. This one has a different color and has a border, I don't know, like 12 pixels. And this one is another color. And this one is also another color, but also has the opacity. And another thing, I want to zoom out. So I'm going to be at 80%, and I'm going to scroll a little bit like here. So it's not completely at the center. So if I save this file, I close Akira, I reopen it again, and I go open file, and I click test Akira. Boom, look at that. The same exact situation. We have the canvas at 80%, a shift to the right, the same vertical and horizontal adjustment we have. Our rectangle, it's locked. We can unlock it and select it. This one, the other rectangle is hidden. We can hidden it, like we can make it visible. And all the colors are respected. All the artboards are respected. That's beautiful, isn't it? That's very, very easy, very cool. So the thing that we're going to implement now, later on, basically every time you move something, we need to keep track of all these changes. So right now, the Akira file recognizes a change only when you create a new object. So now if I try to close it, it says, hey, you changed something, you want to quit. But we're going to keep track of everything. We're going to keep track of changing of colors, changing of sizes, changing of opacity. This one has the opacity. So we're going to implement later on an option to autosave. So right now, for example, in the file, we have open recent, which is completely empty. The open recent will be auto-populated of all the files that you saved, of course. And then in the options here, in the preferences panel, we're going to have in the general, we currently have just this option that doesn't do anything for now, but you can auto reopen the latest file. So if you have a file saved and you close Akira, when you open Akira, automatically reopen the latest file that you have open. We're going to also have an option to enable auto saving. So every time you change something, just auto saves. Automatically, that option will be ticked off. So it'll be an opt-in option if you want, because auto saving is pretty dangerous when you deal with big design files. We don't want to force on autosave by default out of the box. If you're changing something, you don't want to save your edits and stuff like that. So this is the bare bone explanation of how our file saving options are, and it's just all based on JSON. So it's super light, super easy. You notice how loaded the file in not even a second. Like, of course, we have like 3 shapes and nothing is complicated. It's very, very simple. But this is the file saving current status of Akira, and I'm very, very excited of all the things that we're gonna do. So this patch is currently under review on our GitHub repository. If you wanna try, if you have Akira compiled, loaded, you can click on the load saved file. You can find a test file here, which is these 3 Artboards Akira zip folder. You can unzip this and then have the Akira file and open it. And this is the situation that you should have when you open that file in your Akira installation. So if you want to give it a try, do it. It's not merged yet because there's a massive work going on in Giacomo's patch that is to restore the z-index folder. And actually now I'm going to switch to Giacomo and I'm going to introduce him. Hello, Giacomo. Say hi to everyone.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly.
Yeah, perfectly. Hi, all. Welcome to this incredible live stream. For me, it's the first time, actually. It's the first time I'm in YouTube on a live stream. And I like to mention that also Akira is my first open source contribution. So it's there is a lot of first times here. So
that's awesome.
It's pretty nice.
They're already writing, hey Giacomo. They're saying hi to you on the chat. So
hi all. There's something like a delay between my actual recording and the comments, so I'm not able to actually answer them, but you know, This is the beauty of live things.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, by the way, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Giacomo. I am 27 from Verona, Italy, the city of love, actually. And I am my actual job, my real job is I work as a freelance full stack web developer, and I'm also UI and actually kind of UX guy because many time I need to make things to not only look beauty but also look and behave like usable. And so I'm also like a UX. And the first time I heard about making a UI UX software for Linux, it was like, oh well, I just want to contribute to this project. It was the first time for me that I was into contributing in GitHub, so I needed to sort out all the things like understanding how to make pull requests and stuff using Git, not in the way I use it. For me, it was very also funny because working on such a project is good, is awesome actually. And working, I would like to say, working in this project with Alex, which is Italian like me, so the communication problem is not even a problem. And also he's very open to contributions, very open to discussion. It's a great guy to work with, actually.
Oh, thank you.
No, I'm not saying this for mocking or something. It's
Okay.
just the reality because,
Uh,
well, finding as your first project a guy which is that easy for to work with, it's just awesome. The project is awesome. The language, the technologies involved are awesome. And so, what else can I say? Maybe I just need to go back to work and showcase some cool Akira stuff. What you say, Alex?
yeah, go for it. Yeah, no, it's. I wanted
Okay.
to add to that. I'm open to contribution to anything because I personally I don't know anything. So all the peoples around me, I like to surround myself with people that are smarter than me. So I'm glad I found Giacomo because he's way better than me in doing this stuff, even if it's the first time, he says. But yeah, it's awesome. Go ahead, share your screen. I'm gonna put you full screen so
Okay.
he can give you a quick overview of all the awesome things he's working on.
Okay. So let's see whether or not the technologies just help us and success. Okay.
Yeah, it's
So can you
working.
see my screen?
Absolutely.
Okay. This is my restore Z index PR. Actually, Alex was saying before that the zebra stuff inside the Artboard is not working, but I need to admit that it's not working, as you
Yeah.
can see, because
Awesome.
so it's very cool to actually say that you were not right, you were wrong. It's
That's
nice.
great. Yeah.
So as you can see, there are the free items list. So the items that are not bound to any artboards, just laying there. And if I just add just another one, as you can see, it is created on top of the others and not just above the others artboards. And if I create just another artboards, it gets created just under the other artboards. And what I was working on is the possibility to just have one source of truth for what regards artboards and items, because there was a problem between technicalities that was not that does not enables us to actually make things pretty and smart and easy to just code. So I needed down to find the problem. And actually now, as if you just add items to an artboard, as you can see, artboard 4, those items just get added to the artboard itself. And the same happens if I just create an ellipse or stuff. And if I just select items on the layers panel, those items are selected in the canvas too. And the same if I just click them on the canvas. And I can actually also delete them with the delete key, as you can see. And all this binding does seem like it's very easy, because you can see there are 4 items and the same is here synchronized in the artboard panel. But it's not that easy for a software system to actually make this synchronization possible. And I have to admit that Vala actually was surprised in that regards, because it was very easy to do this stuff once you know a little bit of the basics of it. But as you can see in there, now it's working. It's working properly actually.
Mhm.
Before, the Z index was working, if I just change the color just to see the differences between the items that gets created. As you can see now, there are those items that are indexed differently. And before it was working, because if I just take this one and I control arrow up, as you can see now, there's something not working properly, but before it was working very, it was actually working.
Hmm.
But I'm going to fix this thing because it was working before, and now because of this, new synchronization issue, that was very more important than the actual Z index. It's going to work a lot better.
Hmm.
And I'd like to say that I was very proud and very actually satisfied working on Artboards, because Alex said that it is the first time that an open source project, open source software, has Artboards.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just another first time that was, it made my heart full of proud, because it's very cool to work in those things, because it's not even work, it's a lot of fun, and I'm very privileged to work on this thing. And also those was the first time in us open source project that was Artboard, so it was a double reward that I was not even expecting. And it kind of seems silly, but I'm I'm very happy to work on this project, on this software, on these features. And I can't wait to make Akira available to anyone to actually try and let us know what they think, what they want to improve, because I think that Akira is something truly needed by the entire open source world, and I hope the best for it. And I'd like to make myself in four different persons to actually make it happen.
Yeah, 100% agree. I'm all on board. And yeah, if I don't know you guys if you agree with the statement that there are no currently open source projects that support or just have an implementation similar to Artboards, like fully open source. I did a research online. I didn't find anything, so I think the statement is correct that Akira is the first one, but I don't know. There's a question for you, Giacomo. They ask you. So you say Vala is easy to pick up?
Mm-hmm. Is this a question?
Yeah, it was like basically
Okay.
you said it was the first time for you. You never coded Vala before jumping
No.
on this project, right? So how easy was for you to learn it? And do you consider Vala an easy language to learn?
Okay. My first contribution in Akira was this panel here, the align panel, which hasn't received any attention from my first contribution, because we are not that
Yeah.
at that point. But nevertheless, Vala is very easy, because maybe I can share my screen in here. Well, it's not easy because it's easy because it's familiar. It's something like a C family thing, so you are very used to it. There's nothing truly innovative or new in it. It just if you are used to JavaScript, or maybe something like C or C++, but also JavaScript it's enough actually for me,
Mm-hmm.
because the syntax is very easy, and once you get used to what are the I don't call them the way in which you should write it. It's very easy. Also, I was not starting from scratch, because there was something that was working, which was the Akira actually, because it did have something. It has something that was actually present at the moment I
Mm-hmm.
started. But the code itself, it's very easy to tinker with, because it's just C family
Yeah.
actually. You need to you need to get used to also GTK, because it's not only Vala. Vala, it's a very good language for working with GTK.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do know nothing about GTK or UI design or UI development, well, you can find yourself in some kind of troubles.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get used to it, and it's very easy to do that when you do not start from scratch, it's actually very easy to start with. You need to know something about grids. You need to know something about the widget repainting cycle.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get used to it, it's very easy, because all the operations, all the statements are very similar to JavaScript. As you can see, there are vir keyword for just creating a new variable. So it's actually similar. It's not equal to JavaScript. And then there is the if statements, which let's see if I can. Yeah, the if statement is like any other language of the C family.
Yeah.
There is also the switch one, the switch case, but in this page, I think there's nothing like a switch. The classes interfaces is very similar to Java or C# if you are used to them. And well, the documentation, it's a bit weird and not very complete. You need to find a lot of things by yourself, but it's not that difficult. And one of the greatest things of Vala and of Vala plus GTK is the speed of development, because you can actually rebuild the entire project in seconds, and not, well, fraction of seconds actually,
Yeah.
and not minutes or like Rust, or you don't have any link phase that might consume a lot of time. So if I want to just change, I don't know, something in the items manager, I'd like to change the, well, when you create some text, let's see whether or not it works with a T. Oh, sorry, the T. Okay, add text here. I just want to change the add text here with Akira is awesome. Okay.
Shameless
And
plug.
It just was for letting you aware of how fast is to compile Akira. In this second tab, I have and something like a script that does the hot reload. Okay, so whenever I save, in contrast with what Alex said before on the autosave and stuff, but here is for coding, which is very different from UI and drawing. Whenever I just hit the save, okay, I just go to the second and okay, and maybe it's zoom, and the entire program has been completely built and rebuilt and rerun in just, you know, something like 2 seconds, and it just ports this. Akira is awesome instead of the other add text here. And this is the majority of time is just the time you need to actually try some implementation of stuff. So it's very easy also because it's not that hard to get your prototypes to work. Because in fraction of seconds, maybe 1 or 2 seconds, if you are on Zoom or if you are on Skype, Slack, Telegram, WhatsApp, and many other programs, Electron-based application that we don't like, it's you know, it's even faster.
Yeah.
And now it's slow because of my
we're having like
very...
20,000 different windows opens, but yeah, no, it's super fast. Okay, I'm gonna switch. Do you want to show something else, or we can jump on the questions?
I think I'm done because unfortunately there's not many more things to showcase.
Well, unfortunately, come on, we're you're doing a lot of things. Unfortunately,
I know, because I just wanted to just have a little bit more.
It's all right.
Okay.
It takes
time. But
you
know, it takes time, but not that much, because I don't want to discourage anyone.
No.
You just take the time to learn the basics, but once you get into it, you know, it's very easy, fun. And if you just want to find a very good hobby, working on Akira is super cool. Yeah. Also, the UI is very good because Alex designed it.
Well, I'm using the
gorgeous.
Elementary.
It's wonderful.
I'm using the Elementary as style sheet mostly. So thanks to Elementary guys, I'm just like putting things together. That's it. Nothing much. Okay. So if you want to switch back to your beautiful face, we can show it. Yes, let's start with a bunch of questions. So is there autosave or a dashboard, maybe with a recent open file? I'm thinking we will consider having a dashboard. Like, a dashboard doesn't really make much sense if for an application that you just need to open a file. Maybe in the future, if we will have, like, when you open Akira for the first time, you can select a pre-built template, or you want to import, or you want to open multiple recent files, or create a library. I don't know. If there are other options that justify a dashboard, we will implement it. But for now, not much. Another question, mostly probably for you, you can answer. Yeah, you already answered this. It was like, how much time does it take to compile for small changes? We saw it takes like few seconds.
Yes.
It asks like Shearshak asks, does it use Vulkan or OpenGL?
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
But in the first place, it was like there was something like a libgtk. There was a libgtk canvas that you were working on,
Yeah.
right?
Esperen, que estoy. Voy.
Okay, but in the end, it was just a dead end that branch or something. But in the future, for me, it would be very nice to actually start working on something like Vala plus Vulkan or OpenGL, most probable implementation of the canvas with the same API of the Go canvas, just to use it on the GPU. But this thing is not going to happen in the near future, but it's going to be very actually interesting for me to work on something like that. But as the time progresses and we have more resources, time and stuff, it would be nice, but at the moment it's very difficult.
Yeah, 100%. If I'm not wrong, like since Go Canvas, the library that we're using for all these good things, it's based on Cairo. Cairo has some OpenGL implementation, if I'm not wrong. Especially from when it comes to anti-aliasing, how do you say anti-aliasing, whatever, just to properly render the pixel smooth because it's all vector. So that's already there. But yeah, Vulkan is pretty new, so we will see. It would be awesome to implement 100%. Another question, will it have a plugin system? Hell yeah. In the future, the objective is to create a language agnostic plugin system. So it doesn't matter if you code in C or you code in Python or you code in Rust. You can hook to some open APIs in Akira, and you can change how Akira behaves based on those API endpoints. That would be the dream. And absolutely, I think like the plugin system will start implementing it right after the first like version 1 that is fully ready for production. It's going to be released. After that, we're going to focus on the plugin system because we think that a plugin system is important to guarantee the health of the project with other contributors and allowing users to edit and implement and improve how Akira behaves for them. So yeah, absolutely. So, okay, another question that you can answer if you want. Saisuria asks, can you explain something about open standards of designing and layout, which UXbox is claiming to follow, and does Akira to follow that standard? Do you mean, if I'm not wrong, UXbox claims that it follows the SVG open standards, right? Let me check.
Yes, as in the presentation I saw, they were claiming that they were using SVG as their base, and they wanted to create something like open standard on top of SVG, and they wanted to be something like a foundation or that wanted to create the open UX or UI protocol standard or stuff. It was very nice as the idea behind it is very cool to me, but I tried it, and for me the problem is always the same. Electron-based applications or web-based application, sometimes they are cool because I code them almost every day. But sometimes you need to squeeze out every bit of performance you can. And to me, a native application, it's a very good way to actually achieve this goal.
Yeah.
So the idea behind it is very cool, because the one open protocol that anyone could, embrace and hook into in their program. It's cool, super cool. But in the end, the performance for me more important, because my computer fan is spinning all over the time when I use web applications that are not designed to be performance heavy.
Yeah.
And I just love the way that Akira is not making my fan spin.
It's so quiet.
So this is
Yeah.
so quiet.
Related to open standard, we at the beginning, especially for the file saving, we were approaching this thing to, okay, we're just going to use SVG to save everything. Unfortunately, SVG has some limitations that they were like forcing us to remove features, important features for designers, if we wanted to adopt SVG. The fact that we're keeping everything open, even the file system, the file save system, we're going to document everything, we're going to keep it open, will help to introduce these maybe new open standards. And we're not opposed to create and collaborate with other software, like having API bridges to import export between GIMP and Inkscape or UXbox. So even if we don't have currently, we're not working to respect an open standard that it's already out there, because it's very limiting. We are open to the discussions. Like if it happens that we need to rebuild our file system to respect an open standard, absolutely we will do it. So it's not a matter of if we will do it, like yes, but for now we're mostly focused on having an application that behaves like a professional software. So we needed to make some hard decisions to not respect some open standards. Another question, what about cloud syncing? Giacomo, you work a lot with JavaScript applications and all these cloud platforms, so it's something that we will definitely do, right?
Yeah. It wasn't. I think, if I recall correctly, one of the first time we had a chat, you were talking about professional support for Akira.
Yeah.
For actually, making those things, those professional bonus feature, premium feature available. And so, in my opinion, the cloud support, cloud syncing, it's super useful. Also, maybe we could, one of the things I like the most about web application is the possibility to work together on a file. I don't know how difficult is this to do with a standard native application, but it would be awesome to actually being able to work on the same project from two different native applications at the same time, maybe collaborating, sharing stuff, messages, and file assets, and making comments. Because my experience in UX design and UX design tools, it's very limited. But in this regard, possibilities are endless, especially for people which are going to use this software professionally. Maybe we could just listen to what are their needs, and we can maybe try to implement them as a premium feature, and maybe and of course cloud sync, and maybe cloud collaboration, maybe cloud storage, or stuff like that is going to be very high on the list. So my daily job is to actually work with cloud, with Docker, with configurations, with orchestration, with project like that. So working on a cloud-based synchronization, maybe using the very good Nextcloud or OwnCloud protocols or software, because it's open source, is going to be not easy, but feasible and possible. And of course, we could work on that in the future, as long as we have a working prototype, working product, and in the user's hands, because that's the most important thing at the moment, not the cloud sync, but having a product people can start to use as their daily driver.
Yeah, absolutely. Another question. So, yes, Saisuria says, yes, native applications for the win. I think UXbox is another web-based design tool. So thanks for answering. And then, could you have nightly or weekly app images? So we tried to, like a long time ago, we tried to release an app image, but app image are god awful to build. I'm sorry. It's a personal opinion. It's not like a matter of fact or anything. But we will try. Definitely, we're open to it. If some app image developer it's available to help us out to create a script that we can release it, we can definitely do it. There are some like heavy limitation in app images, like the fact that they need to be compatible with the like Ubuntu 14.04 or something like that. So the amount of libraries available in that release was like, it's not like we cannot do anything with that release. It's impossible to have a function in Akira version with that version of Ubuntu and those libraries. So there was that limitation. Definitely when we're releasing Akira, it's going to be available every time we push a new release. Is going to be immediately available as a Flatpak, as a snap package, and on the elementary OS, and probably also as a Debian file. We will see. We will try to release everything. I personally don't know much about app images. I don't know if Giacomo, have you ever built an app image? Nothing.
Nope.
Yeah. So if someone
Just
wants
one
to,
Flatpak, and it was Akira.
yeah, exactly. It's easier. Like Flatpak snaps are way easier to build. But if someone wants to contribute and build an app image of Akira, we're totally fine with that. Another question, which is very interesting. Did you consider other libraries other than Cairo, like Skia, for example, which supports better GPU acceleration? I never used Skia before. I'm checking the documentation right now. We went with Cairo because has been around for ages. It's supported and it's still developed by the GNOME Foundation. It's part of it's a solid project that is not gonna disappear, and has a lot of native bindings for all the code that we use. Like there are all the bindings that you need for GooCanvas and for Vala. There's no problem in using any of that. Skia, I don't know if it has any native bindings for Vala or how it works.
Let me check.
Yeah. No, we decided to go with Cairo because Cairo has a million different benefits. And we know that Inkscape, it's an awesome project. Like the problem with Inkscape is mostly interface wise, not the fact that it cannot do a lot of things. Like with Inkscape, you can do everything. You can build a million different things, and it's all based on Cairo. So we have the empirical proof that Cairo, it's powerful. It can do a lot of things. That's why we went with that, because if those things are possible in Inkscape, we can do those in Akira with a better interface. That was the reasoning behind using Cairo, other than the bindings available out of the box. So, have you ever heard about Skia, Giacomo?
Yes, it's a project developed by Google. It's the basis of Flutter. Maybe you heard about it.
Yeah.
It's the UI toolkit for mobile development, and it's nice. It's also the base. It's going to be the base for Purple OS or Fuchsia. Sorry.
No, it's all right.
The new project from Google.
Yeah.
And yes, I heard about it, but it's like something like 300 megabytes of a library.
Holy shit.
To actually link and bind it. Well, it's not even a big deal, because once you have installed, it's not like a big deal or not a problem. But the last summer I was working on a project of mine in Rust, which was called Cruise, and it was something like OpenGL based UI toolkit entirely written in Rust. And I took a lot of inspiration from Skia, from other documentation about Google, and I think it's I know for sure that there is a C binding, so maybe we can make something like a VAPI file or something. But as you already explained, the fact that Go Canvas is based on Cairo and Go Object is very easy to interface it with Vala.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe in the future we can try the Cairo GTK4 OpenGL
Oh, yeah.
or GPU based backend, and maybe it's going to, maybe
Mm-hmm.
we can have the full power of GPUs, but because one can say that Inkscape is not very performant, so
Yeah.
why do you choose Cairo? But if you use Cairo in the right way, it's going to perform a lot better than using it in a way that's not designed for.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe just working in the way we are working, not because we are cool or something, but
Well,
Go
we are
Canvas
cool
is
a
the
little
right
bit.
way. We are cool actually, but it's not the real reasoning and motive behind the fact that Go Canvas is the right way of using Cairo, because it was created by the creators of Cairo actually.
Yeah.
And so what we're saying that is that maybe Cairo, we can implement something with a Cairo API, so the switch is going to be, not painless or stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is that maybe just using Cairo the way it should is going to give us all the performance we need
Yeah.
to actually have Akira to behave in the way we want it.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the fact that Skia is a Google project, like stay away from it, because Google is renowned for like dropping project and canceling things and making a big fuss about something and then completely destroying. Like look at Stadia. Stadia is gonna just be canceled probably in a month, and it was last year was announced as the next big thing that it was going to take over everything. So Google is known for canceling projects out of the box for whatever reasons and rebuilding something new. It's not known for maintaining and keep going an open source project for years and years and supporting that. Instead, Cairo has been around for 10 years, maybe more. Is not going anywhere, so it's a solid choice. And yeah, it's evolving with GTK4, so we're not gonna have many problems with that. Isacco Rossi writes, really, really great job, guys, with Akira. Grazie, Isacco. I don't know if you're Italian, but...
Ciao, Isacco.
Yay.
It's a friend of mine.
Oh, really?
So awesome. It's my colleague. I wanna virtually hug him.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a supporter and number one from my perspective of Akira. So
that's awesome.
Continue with the project, go on, because I just need Akira.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, please go on, because I just don't want to make my entire mockups in Illustrator anymore.
So that's true. Yeah.
Thank you for your support.
That's phenomenal. So they ask also, is there a roadmap for Akira? Yeah. So everything it's on GitHub. You can see if you access the GitHub repository, there's the issues tab. There's a roadmap for the alpha release wishlist, which I'm so happy because it's almost completed. All the checkboxes have been ticked. Almost. We have like 3 or 4 left, but after that we're gonna basically, once we release the alpha version, we're gonna enter the beta cycle, and the beta cycle is gonna be every time we merge a new PR, we're gonna do a new release. So it's gonna be a rolling release type of thing. And this question actually brings me to the next point, which is a great segue because it's an open question for all of you guys. We want to release the alpha version of Akira, and there's a lot of buzzing around Akira because a lot of people are expecting this software, and we know that the alpha version is not production ready at all. It's an alpha version, it's just for testing. It's missing a lot of very important functionalities like the undo history of, or duplicating objects, or snapping, or a grade, like all these like you cannot even edit the text because we didn't do that yet. But we want to release it anyway because we want to go into this rolling release cycle in order to gather as many feedback as possible to improve the application before the official final release, like the production ready release. So the question is, what is the best way to communicate this to the user? I know you guys, like the followers, the Patreon subscribers, the supporters, the one that follows us on Twitter, you already know that this is not ready for production. It's going to be just a test that we put out and we allow you to use it. But random users that they stumble upon Akira and they open it for the first time expecting to be super polished and ready, and they're going to notice, oh, I cannot even edit the text, and they're going to bombard us with bug reports and comments on everywhere. Like, what is the best way to communicate to the users, hey, this is just for testing, please don't hate us if something doesn't work? My first approach was to have like a big scary dialogue opening the first time we launched Akira, and shout and scream at everyone, hey, this is just an alpha, it doesn't work, it's gonna break, it's buggy, so expect nothing but have fun. But I'm sure a lot of people will not will not follow those
Totally
advices.
get it.
Yeah, so yeah, what's the best way of communication? What do you think, Giacomo? What do you think we should do?
I don't know. I was thinking about something like right bottom right corner, just a banner which says Akira is alpha, is very alpha. Don't expect much, but please help if you want. Something like that with with a smile and emoji or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe as Google does, with not because I want to mock Google or something, but with a beta badge just around the name of the program or somewhere in the UI. If you just put a badge with beta or alpha, maybe is going to, and if you click on that, the scary banner is going to appear with all information about it. This is just a preview software. If you you can help, or you can help shape this project. You can choose what are the next features, or maybe contribute some code or something. Yeah. But just put something like a badge somewhere that just states and claims that the program is not ready, even though it's very cool.
Yeah.
But it's not even not yet ready.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and Nehemia, is that the right word? Nehemia is his name. It says Google can take a little mocking. Yeah, absolutely. They can take it. That's a good point. Probably I will do that. I will have we will implement like a permanent banner somewhere in the application that you cannot dismiss, so it's always there, but out of the way, not in the middle of the canvas, of course, but at least something that tells you, and also has a direct link to GitHub, so users can take a look at all the issues open, the pull requests, and all the things that we're working on. So if you guys don't have any more questions, we almost at the 1 hour mark. Giacomo, give us an overview of all the things that you will be working in the upcoming weeks.
Okay, so I'm going to finish to restore the Z-index mechanics and stuff. And after that, I think I will be fixing the fine transformation of the items inside the canvas, so that if you just rotate an item, you can then move it and scale it correctly using the handles.
Yeah.
And if I'm able to actually get away with this, I'd like to actually create the snapping or the alignment of items inside the artboard, which is one of the things missing in the list.
Yeah.
And I think we are done, because I think I'll be reviewing your safe PR to actually start to getting something about it. But in the end, it's going to be those are things that are actually missing right now. Maybe some snapping to the artboard's edges, but only if we have time. But I think those are the things I'm going to work in the next few weeks, just before the release.
Awesome. Before the release. Yeah, we're aiming to release it as soon as possible. We're like a few features away from the alpha release, so stay tuned. From my hand, I'm gonna keep working on the load and save of the files. After this patch, after this PR lands, I'm gonna implement the saving of the recent opening files, so you can click on open recent files. Then I'm gonna implement the Git repository inside the file, so every time you save a file, it saves a git commit, and we have version control baked into the file saving. And right after that, probably I'm gonna start focusing on the Control Z, like, and undo history, which will use if you don't save any file, if you're just using Akira without saving a file, it's gonna save the history on your memory, so it's gonna cache it, and that's gonna be limited. Otherwise, if you're working on a file that it's saved, it's gonna save your history in your file, so you're not gonna have any limitation on the history management because it's not living in your memory, so it's gonna be better. We have another couple of questions. With all the features you've added to the canvas, will the canvas be able to be used in other Vala projects? I would love that. Actually, at the beginning of the project, we were doing that. In our Akira UX repository, we have a Goo canvas, or actually we have a interactive Goo canvas repository where we used to extrapolate the canvas and put it as a standalone project inside there. So it was synced with the main repository. I think since the canvas lives everything inside our library folder, we will be able to extract it and release it as a standalone. Yeah. That'd be
It's
cool.
not meant to be used right now as a standalone project, but it can't be used, in my opinion. So it's going to be easy to maybe you can start directly from Akira and remove the things you don't need, because it's going to be a lot easier. But what I think it's most useful about our implementation is that it does behave like a live documentation, because there's not that many projects working using Go Canvas. So just using this project, it is already not big, but it's not even small, is going to help you. The user is going to use this Go Canvas to actually build, have examples of something like containers and elements with other elements inside, and snapping and a fine transformation, clicking, understanding which item is, a little, just some examples that might help you in your development progress.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's pretty much it. So we're at the end of this live development session. We're gonna keep working, of course, because we're all stuck at home and trying to be safe, and we don't interact with anyone, so we just chat online. But it's fine. It's gonna be fine. We're all gonna be fine. As usual, if you guys like the project, you can support us on Patreon. I know this is the worst time to ask for contribution because everyone is freaking out with losing their job. So don't worry, it's totally fine. The thing that you can do to help us is just share the project on your social media, talk about Akira, test it if you have the means of downloading it, compile it, run it, test it, and participate on bug reports. If you're not a developer, you don't know what to do, you can contribute. If you're a designer, you can review the UI. We share a lot of screenshots or usability overview on Twitter or Mastodon to share like the stages of what we're doing. So if you're a designer, UX or UI designer, you can help us by designing icons or give us some suggestion on how to improve some specific options and sections of Akira. We're all open to anything that helps, because this is a massive project that has never been done before, and we're gonna release it soon, so it's gonna happen.
And more important, if you are a coder and like to contribute to the code, we are we're happy to help you get started, because as I was got on board, you can too. So it's a lot of fun. So if you want to can contribute, please reach us on GitHub, on here, on YouTube, on all the means of communication, so we can meet and maybe just start coding, because it's very fun.
Awesome. Yeah, also Neyman says workflow stuff. I think Inkscape works, but has a workflow issue. Exactly. That's what we're trying to solve with Akira. All right. thank you, Giacomo, for participating. It's lovely to not do this alone for once. It's great. And thank you, everyone, for joining and asking questions. And we'll chat soon for another live development session, and we'll give soon announcement for the first alpha. So, bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, Alex. Thank you all. That's all, folks.
That's all, folks. Copyright infringement. Bye. Stop streaming.